welcome to this fly tying video. Today we're going to tie the Body Quill Bug. This is quite simple fly to tie. You can choose almost any color that you want. Body quills that I will show you in a bit come in a wide variety of colors. You can mix the composition with the tinsel and the body quill to imitate the fly or the insect that you want. So here, to get this started in the vise, I have a Hanák H500BL, which is this called all-round hook. It has quite a wide gape, but also this straight eye with this straight part here. Really good for tying like small bugs. It works really well with a bead as well. To put on some weight and to build up the taper of the fly, I'm going to use some lead-free wire, and this one is the 0.015, and here we don't really need much, but I'm going to start this just in the bend, putting down about 7 turns or so, and then I'm going to break off both ends clean. Then I'm just going to push these together a little bit and also push it down the bend. So there we have the wire in place, and now to secure this I'm going to use just a tiny drop of glue. And this one I like to use because it's so runny, it will soak down into the wraps of wire and really bind this down and keep everything together without building any bulk on it. And now we have to let this dry, but as for all good cooking shows, I have some already made and already dried, so here it's exactly where we left off. So what you have to do is to let these dry. They work really well to tie a bunch at the same time. Any fly with where you have to glue, it's good to tie these in a bunch. And now I'm going to take a new thread that I bought a few weeks ago. This is the Nanosilk from Semperfli, the 12/0. It works really great for streamers, but also to build up just a little bit of bulk on small flies. So I'm going to use this instead of my 6/0 uni thread in white. So a few turns of thread, just starting this, cut off the excess. And for the body, except the thread, we're going to have 2 more materials. The first one is the body quill. This is a product made by hands. It comes in a little spool like this. We have a lot of colors. This one is the color 69. It goes from gray to light pink or light purple. And these can be a little tricky to work with. Especially you need to not pull too hard on these or they will just break, or one of the 3 strands. These are made up of 3 strands, one like a translucent tinsel or nylon flat thingy, and 2 more like wires, just to give a little bit of glimmer and structure. And the easiest way to use these, I found, is to put these on a bobbin holder like this. It's a little bit tricky to get it through the nozzle, but if you burn the ends, here you can see that we have the 3 strands, 2 really small and 1 flat. So you should just burn the end. These will cinch down together and just make it a lot easier to pass through. So here I'm going to tie this in and a few loose turns and then pull the excess. You just have to make sure that you don't pull too much, or you won't have, or one of the 3 strands will then pull out. So then we're going to take this down the bend and then just leave this for now, as we're going to tie in the second material, and this is going to be the underbody of the fly. And here, as well as for the body quill, you could go with any color that you like, or to mix the colors to get exactly what you like. Here I'm going with some small pearl tinsel. You could also use the medium or large one if you find that easier. I just find it's a lot easier to put down a neat body or underbody, I would say, with a small one. If you're going to do like for streamers or have the tinsel be the main part of the fly and not covered with anything else, I would go for the bigger ones, but here as the only thing I want is to have some, or to have the shimmer and some of the color shining through at the end. I rather go with the small one, it's easier to control, and also as this is not going to be so smooth with the wire, it's just a little bit easier to put down. Continue building the taper of the fly, and as we've put the lead-free wire right here in the bend, it's going to give the a natural like caddis pupa shape, or any little larva or grub that live in the water. So this is the shape I'm going for when I'm tying like some cameras or these little grayling bugs, as I call them. So now we're just covered up the wire a little bit more and just make a neat underbody for the tinsel. A half inch just to secure and so that the thread won't come undone. Now we're going to start winding up the tinsel, and here it's a little bit tricky as you have the two bobbins hanging down, but just take your time, and the first turns are always the most difficult. The tinsel will have a tendency to slip down and so that you will make 3-4 turns right in the same spot. Doesn't really matter here as I'm going to cover this up both with the body quill and some UV resin, so we won't see any of it, just a little bit of shimmer, so don't have to be too precise when laying down this underbody here. Try not to get everything to slip as I have here. This is usually what will happen as the thread underneath is a little bit slippery and the tinsel is too. Don't worry, just go back a few steps and you can always start again. If you're not happy with how your fly looks, just go back and then continue tying till you have exactly the fly that you want. It's no point wasting like 5-10 minutes on a fly that you won't ever reach for in your box. Just take your time and try to make this as quickly but as nice as possible. So then when we reach the eye, we're going to tie this off. Another thing you could do to prevent this from happening is to put just a little bit of super glue or glue onto the body and then wrap. This will prevent it from unwinding and just to keep it a little bit more together. Now we're going to do a useful half hitch, or more useful than the last one. This is because we're now going to wind up the body quill, and if you have a rotary vise, I would suggest you use it for just this purpose. Get my bobbin out of the way, and now I'm going to grab the body quill. We're just going to put down a layer of this material all over the fly. And here we're going to cover the tinsel just a little bit, but it's going to shine through when we're finished, so it's going to have like a pearly shimmer underneath this gray, purple, pink body quill, so it makes for a really neat looking fly, or at least in my opinion. Once we're up to the eye, we're going to tie this off as well with our thread. A few turns to secure, and then we're going to cut off the body quill. We can just do a small whip finish. As we're going to use the UV resin, it's a little bit easier and it's also a lot faster doing it this way. And as for the wire, it's a good idea to tie a bunch of these at the same time. So you tie these up to this stage and then you UV resin them all at the same time. Here I'm using the Deer Creek Diamond Fine Flex, and this is a really great one. It's really fine, it's going to not build up too much and just be the exact consistency. And the flex part is really good for these bodies, as with the wire these are intended to go quite deep, and if your fly is going quite deep and there are some rocks at the bottom, it's most likely that it will bump into some of them. So the flex is going to have this little rubbery feeling, a little bit of bounce to it. So it's not going to chip as easily, and it's also going to just bounce over the rocks instead of smashing into them. So there, just with a dummy needle, you can then move the resin around, and once you're happy with the shape of it, and now I am, you then just have to set it with your UV torch. A few seconds is enough. Make sure to get the light all around the fly. And so now we have the body done, and here you can maybe see that we have some shimmer shining through, and also this body quill giving the impression of some segments, or just so buggy looking, or at least in my opinion. It's a really great material for both wet flies or nymphs and bugs, and also for dry flies. Now I'm going to switch the thread, and I'm going to continue the tying with the 80-knot in beige, and this is only to keep the head as small as possible. Here I set up the thread in the hook bobbin, and this is a really great bobbin. Actually, as this video is going to be uploaded, I will be on vacation in Sweden, so I won't be able to respond to any comments for the next 2-3 weeks, so sorry for that, but there will be one video per week on the Tuesdays, so I hope the uploads are going to work and everything will be fine. So now I just started the thread again right behind the eye, and this fly was actually a request on Instagram, so maybe not for the 3 next videos as I will not be here, but after the vacation and when I will be starting tying again, it would be really great if you could come with some suggestions or ideas of fly that you want to see. This way I can tie the flies that you want, and it will also give me a lot wider range of flies, more than just the ones that I can come up with. So if you would like to see any particular fly, just leave a comment in the section below. And on this fly there are only 2 materials left that we're going to tie in. The first one is some Peacock Herl. So just taking one single strand, and I'm going to tie this one in right behind the eye. So few loose turns and then pull, then bring the thread up just a millimeter behind the eye. Just going to use this one single Peacock Herl to build up a little thorax on the fly. So a few turns is all we need. Right off, and this material is not so robust, so it will really easily break, so go through it a couple of times. This will really secure it and make sure it won't go anywhere. Now you could leave the fly like this, it will have these tiny little legs, but I want to do a dubbing color as well. So for this I'm using my dubbing mix that I call Grayling, and this is some natural opossum mixed with some UV dubbing and also some purple one. So this is a really great mix that reminds me of the big graylings up in the north of Sweden, and I'm hoping that as this video is going live, that I maybe will catch some, and whenever I get some internet connection I will try to keep you posted on everything that's going on as well. And to tie in the dubbing color, what I'm using is the split thread technique, so spin your bobbin counterclockwise, split the thread in two, and now we're going to insert just a little bit of dubbing at a time in between the threads. And here, if you're using opossum as the main dubbing material, it will be quite easy to do. So just put in a few strands here in between the two threads and then spin the bobbin clockwise. This will cord the thread and trap all the fibers in between. This way of doing it will give a much spikier dubbing and with a lot longer fibers than if you would do it the usual way. And then I'm just going to do a couple of turns right behind the eye, and for each turn I'm going to stroke back the fibers as we don't want any of them to go in the eye. The Nanosilk is really great for tying all kinds of flies, and especially small nymphs and small dry flies, as you will not build up any head at all. You won't barely see it, but it's so strong so you can really pull on it, and so it sinks down into the material and really disappears. And then the last thing to do is to do a 3-turn whip finish, pull tight and cut off. And now I'm going to brush out a little bit of this dubbing just to make it a little nicer. And then if you would like to, you could also put a tiny drop of glue to secure the head even more. But there we have the Body Quill Bug. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time, and happy time.